can we as leaders wield our power in a kind manner? Ultimately, we're the boss, the head honcho, the big cheese. Heavy is the head that wears the crown and all that. Especially when you're juggling less money, more mandates, a burnt-out team, and a frustrated community. But what if you actually have a lot less power than you think you do? Believe it or not, that realization can actually be pretty empowering in itself. Welcome to the Kind Leadership Challenge, where I present short, actionable challenges that empower educational leaders like you to build a better world without burning out. I'm Dr. Sarah Clark, founder of the Kind Leadership Guild, where I use my PhD in higher ed leadership and nearly 2 decades of experience in academic libraries to advise a growing community of educational leaders who are ready to transform their school or library's doubt, dysfunction, and drama into confidence, clarity, and trust. Kind leadership's pretty simple, but it's rarely easy. So if you're up for a challenge, stick around to learn how to create a legacy that will strengthen your community long after you're gone. If you can catch us in an honest mood, perhaps over a relaxing drink, many educational and library leaders will admit that we took our jobs for the power. Sometimes we wanted the power that makes us more seen and more heard. Often it's partly the power to earn a big, or at least bigger, paycheck. But the most common power that encourages educators to become educational leaders is control. In other words, the power to make decisions that will steer a school or library where we want it to go, not down the detours and wrong turns that seem to bedevil most of our own past and present leaders. Now, to be clear, that will to power is great, and in my opinion, it's probably necessary for a kind leader who actually wants to be effective. But the power of leadership only gets you so far. Because, here's the catch, control is an illusion. Think of your team and the folks you serve like a bus. You're the bus driver. You control where the bus goes. That's it. And even that control gets kind of shaky if there's a road closure or a flat tire. You have even less control, and often no control, over almost everything else that you're responsible for leading. Who decides to board, how they behave, the assigned route of the bus, how much fuel is in the bus fare, the maintenance schedule, etc. You may have varying levels of influence over those things, but you do not have total control over almost any of them. You probably don't like this reality, and you may need to spend some time rebelling against this reality. But not liking your lack of control doesn't make that lack of control any less real. If you want to avoid overstressing yourself, overthinking your situation, and overwhelming your team, you have to stop using your power to try to take control that's not yours to take. Instead, this week, I want you to hone in on the one thing you can control. It's the same thing that hypothetical bus driver can control, or anyone else on the planet can control for that matter. You can control the decisions that you make in response to everything happening that is out of your control. And the good news is that you certainly already do this a lot more than you may give yourself credit for. After all, you decided to listen to this podcast today. You decided to become, or try to become, a leader. You don't have control over the impact of your decisions, but you can decide what to decide. And to a large extent, you can control how you go about implementing those decisions. And the more decisions you make, and the better you get at making them, The more you can influence, though never control, whether or not your decisions will impact your team, your organization, and your world for the better. So here's your challenge for this week. Identify a situation right now that you're really struggling with. And then ask yourself, in what ways am I trying to control this? And how can I shift to trying to influence this situation instead? And then make a decision that empowers you to influence what you can influence and to begin to make peace with what you can't control. The free Next Steps checklist can help you start thinking through how you can take control of your stickiest problems. So feel free to go download it over at kindleadershipchallenge.com/next. Thanks as always for listening to the Kind Leadership Challenge. If you want to get notified every time there's a new episode, or if you have a colleague who might find these challenges useful, head on over to kindleadershipchallenge.com to learn more. Never doubt that day by day you're building a better world, even if you can't see it yet. So until next time, stay kind now. Need a confidential community of like-minded educational leaders who'll support you in your ups and downs? Check out the Kind Leadership Guild. Want a leadership coach who's as close as your DMs? That's also the Kind Leadership Guild. And what about on-demand training that guides you through everyday challenges and the big shifts that will help you build a better world without burning out? You guessed it, the Kind Leadership Guild has you covered there too. To learn more, head to kindleadershipguild.com.